Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into episode 11 of On the Virtual Track. I'm James Puffy, your host. I will be here alongside one Mr. Curtis Mathews. Now, we did have technical issues before we started, guys, so we have tried to do the best that we physically can on Curtis's side as well. So if the video does look a little bit stuttery, it will be fine. As I say, we may just post audio up into Spotify and the video will be released on YouTube. But apart from that, look, we've tried to do our best. It was Curtis and his two PC setup confused it all. So, we're going to go with that one. We'll say that one.
Hey, I'm always to blame, so I'm good with it.
Yeah, we'll go with that one, mate. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm good, man. How you doing?
And mate, I'm always good. I'm always good, dude. When I get things to do, is just sit down and have a good old chin wag with somebody. It's mostly, a good old chat between two people, like being down the pub, to be blatantly honest, more than anything else. You know what I mean? But I think it should be a good one. I think we'll just sort of dive straight in there, dude. As we know, a lot of it we cover with obviously sim racing, and then we do a little bit of personal stuff and whatever else. So let's kick off with the sim racing stuff. You're like me, dude. You're on the upper echelons of 50, maybe a little bit more, and the beard's going grey. How did sim racing kick off for you?
I'm 43, actually. Well, I'll be 43 in a month, so.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Though the hair's dark, sort of. But, yeah. Santa Claus right here.
Yeah, I can see, dude. You're doing better than me. I've got like bits of grey at the moment, and I'm older than you.
Hey, my wife likes the salt and pepper look. I have it. It doesn't deal with sim racing, but in the Navy, I was always known as the Silver Fox.
Oh, well, there you go. You know what I mean?
So,
what more could you ask for on that one, dude? You know what I mean? So where do we begin, guys? How far back are we going?
Oh, well, I mean, it just really depends on, like, if we're talking about competitive sim racing, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years. Racing in general, I mean, we can go back to the original Gran Turismo, Ridge Racer. I mean, I don't know if you want to call Star Fox a racing game, but to me it was back in the time. But like Ridge Racer,
I'll take Ridge Racer. Star Fox, I'm not going to give you as a racing game, dude. I'll take Ridge Racer. I'll go with that. But yeah, that was a long old time ago. You're talking, God blimey, how long ago is that?
I mean, if we really want to go super old school, we can go by like Cruising USA at the arcades, in your Corvette. I mean, even the little like handheld racing games and those little like Temco handheld controller ones that all it is like a light bulb and a little mini steering wheel of the screen that just went back and forth. Yeah,
well, believe it or not, Ridge Racer actually wasn't as old as I thought it was. I thought it was early 80s, but it was actually 1993, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was early 80s that it was actually released, but apparently not. It's 1993. But
I'm gonna have a quiz for you about Ridge Racer. Let's see how much you know about it here in a little bit.
Oh, dude, don't. I played the game. Don't mean I paid much attention. Yeah.
Well, there's one thing in Ridge Racer that always started off at the beginning: the black car. Do you remember the black car?
No.
So there's a black car that it's like damn near impossible to beat. When you race it, if you make any type of mess up or go too slow, it'll instantly pass you. And the whole point of this one race in the game is to beat the black car, which 2 years I played it, I never was able to beat it.
Apparently they got Ridge Racer on a Nintendo Switch now.
Oh, well, I have to steal my daughter's Nintendo Switch because...
Yeah, I think you've got to go old school. I think you've got to download the old school packs. But I didn't realize there was a black car. I was always in a red one.
So, but that's like the black car is like a mystery car. It's like, all right, we're gonna go with some Gran Turismo. Do you remember? I think it was like Gran Turismo 4. They had the Red Bull car that was pretty much unbeatable. It was a prototype car that you had to pretty much beat the entire game to get it. Well,
there was always one.
Yep, that was this black car in Ridge Racer.
Right, okay.
So you had to beat this one race to be able to get that car, which was basically unbeatable.
Right, so that could explain then why I probably didn't cross it. I probably didn't get that far into the game to have the black car, to be honest. But yeah, I'll have to go and have a look and see if I can find it on my Switch and see if I could do that. Because You were right. There were certain parts of Ridge Racer, apart from the fact that wasn't that the one with always the blonde-haired girl sitting in the front seat?
No, that's Cruising USA.
No, you got me. What you got me? I must be. Hold on a minute now, because I'm well confused here. Which one we're talking? I'm going to do a quick YouTube search because I always thought. Oh no, it wasn't that. So what was the one where you were in the red car, but you always had the blonde girl sat next to you? I thought that was Ridge Racer.
No, that's Cruising USA.
Yeah, but we didn't have Cruising USA in the UK, dude.
Fine, Cruising UK.
I don't know why I don't know what it's called. I don't think it was called that.
Let's
No,
see.
wasn't the one. What was the one with the red car and the blonde girl? Oh my god.
Oh, oh, oh! I do know what you're talking about. So no, it's not Cruising USA because that's in the Ferrari, but it's a red Ferrari. Um,
What was it called? I thought that was Ridge Racer.
no.
Outrun.
Okay, yep, that's it.
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking about Outrun. But yes, I do remember Ridge Racer, partly due to the video playing it in the arcades.
Yeah, well, I had the actual PlayStation on PS1.
I don't know if I did.
So yeah, when you decide to kind of like fact check me, look up the black car. It's like the devil car, I think they called it.
Okay, so the black car of Ridge Racer. I know this is not a great start to us having a good old chinwag here, guys, but we're literally, they call it the devil car.
Yep. That's how old school of a car guy I am.
Ah, there he goes. He made a mistake. So anybody that wants to see this, hold on. Let me just share my screen to make sure I'm showing the right one here. Up here. There we go. So this was the Ridge Racer we're talking about. Now, a little bit further back. Sorry, there
Boom,
you
there he
go.
went. The
There
second
goes
you
the
mess up, he's gone.
yeah. There goes the black car, and then this poor old geezer can't catch up with him. Unfortunately, that very forward nose view.
Yeah, so there's no catching up to him. After he passes you, it's done. You have to basically start it over again.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, he hit the wall there as well. He's definitely not going to catch up with him now as well. So that's what the game we're talking about. This is the Ridge Racer one. I do remember this, and I played it in the arcade. I don't know if I owned it on the PlayStation, to be fair. But are we going to take this as a
Sim racing?
racing game, or
Well, I mean, because all right, well, you kind of have to because that's what we had back in the day. We didn't have simulators and cockpits and like
Mm,
actual real shifters and force feedback. I mean, we didn't have GT style wheels, just have round wheels.
no, all right. I might give you that, but it's a little bit on the borderline of that. But it was a game, I suppose. So if we're going back to 1993, is that where we're looking at where you started your whole racing career?
I wouldn't say career, but enthusiasm for computer racing or simulator racing, yes. PlayStation with Gran Turismo, absolutely love Gran Turismo. The Mitsubishi Eclipse GT was the best front wheel drive car, with the Mitsubishi 3000 GTO, excuse me, being the best all wheel drive car. You
Mm.
get customize it like with all the graphics and everything. Yeah, those were that was my jam.
Need for Speed Underground was the best one. I've still
Oh,
got it.
that's a good one too. That's a
Yeah,
good one too.
Need for Speed Underground, Racing Online. Um, those were the best ones for me. I think that's really kind of where I would probably sit and say, you know, Racing Online really kicked off for me. I don't think anything kind of before that. They were just games. You just played the bit. You know what I mean? To be honest, I don't even think we had
Yeah, there
internet
was
when I
no
was.
damage or anything like that. You could pretty much
No.
just drive it, and run along the wall.
Yeah, you can do whatever you like. You know what I mean? You can Chastain it in Martinsville and you do whatever exciting things you wanted to do with it. I think that's, for me, I think underground and playing online and doing all that was the main sort of kickoff. But where do we take your pathway to get to sim racing then?
Um, well, the pathway is basically I kind of just got off the computer world, and got into like FPS. With all my buddies, we were playing, GoldenEye and everything. So FPS was really big, and then I got into the whole World of Warcraft. So that's when I started to get back into like CPUs and everything,
Mm.
and desktops. And then I've always had an infatuation with cars, like my entire life. Like I love going to races. I love watching racing, whether it's drag, oval, circuit, road course. Um, Always been a fan favorite for all of them. Love 24 hours of Le Mans. Like I love long races. Like short races are cool. It's like a little bottle rocket. I like
Mm.
I like full course.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of differently. Did you get down the tracks much?
So we had a couple in the not in the Philadelphia area. Well, I don't know if we want to talk about real racing tracks in the Philadelphia area, but every Friday night we'd have the street races, and I was down there every Friday and Saturday night. So that was my drag strip was the street races.
Okay, how did they go for you?
Uh, well, I didn't have a fast car. I was in high school. I had a little Chevy Beretta. Now, mind you, I did win quite a few races with it.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to presume this is illegal racing.
I cannot confirm nor deny that.
So that would be a yes. Then it was basically there wasn't any form of
Well,
standard drag
in the
track.
United States, I plead the fifth.
Right. So basically, it wasn't completely legal, guys, and you literally just went on the street, closed it off, and raced down it. I'm probably guessing from that
We
side
didn't
of
even close
things.
them down. We didn't even close them down. The only way they got closed down is because there were so many cars. I actually got arrested at gunpoint by an undercover cop at the races once. Me and another car lined up, car pulled in front of us. Two guys jumped out with their guns pointing at us. I was like, I'm going to jail. Thank God I was 17, so I got off with a warning.
Right. Did you learn your lesson, or was you back doing it the following week?
Uh, 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So it took you a week to get over it, and then a week to decide whether or not you were going to carry on. That's fair
Yeah,
enough.
when you kind of get a gun pointed to your face, you kind of get scared a little bit.
Well, I'm kind of not surprised on that one. But how did that get into your everyday? Is track going to real world tracks as such something that you do often, or do you not get as much
No,
time?
we don't. There's not really much around here. I mean, the closest I would say would probably be like Talladega or Daytona, maybe Sebring, because I'm in Pensacola, Florida, so there's really not much around here. That mud, everyone likes mudding around here, so track is there's not very many. But when I was up in Virginia, we had Richmond, Dover, the Monster Mile and the
Yeah.
Rock. Um, we had Dinwiddie for drag racing in Irwindale. So,
I'm not being rude, but Dega does sound a fun day out.
what's that?
Going to Talladega does sound a fun day out.
You know what? If my wife, actually, you know what? Here we go. We do have a track. I totally forgot about it. It's in iRacing, Five Flags,
Oh, okay.
Snowball Derby, which I've gone to quite a few times. But my wife doesn't, as much as my wife likes actually like watching me race, she doesn't entertain going to that racing. I've been
Yeah.
trying though, and we actually have a dirt track down in Fort Walton Beach, is about 45 minutes from here. So we have a
And
dirt track and we have a small track.
okay, and have you raced real life?
Nope. Nope.
Never.
Um, nope. I have had my car when I had my Honda Civic. It was brand new 2021 Inca Pearl, so it was nice and beautiful gold. Had a lot of prototype stuff on it. And I went down to VIR. And they actually used my car because it was a Honda series. They used my car as the pace car for the weekend. So, and I got to sit in the passenger seat the whole time they used it. So my car was the pace car for VIR for one weekend, and it was a it was a blast. You don't get to drive it, but it was still cool.
So, well, yeah, I'll give you that. It was still cool. So, never actually doing that side of racing then. But so let's kick back into the sim racing. We've gone back to 93 with Ridge Racer. I'm going to presume that at one point there was F1 games involved in all of this racing experience.
No, just like the only type of F1 games were the ones usually at the arcades, at the mall. Actually, so F1 is what got me into sim racing. Um, so I've been watching Love Formula One. And then obviously the movie Gran Turismo came out, and it really just kind of highlighted to me what real sim racing is and how big it's gotten. And so I just kind of wanted to like invest in it more, and because I do love racing, and obviously financially it's cheaper to have a sim rig than it is to actually do like track days. And being, in my 40s, retired from the Navy, my body is not it's not a wonderland like it used to be. So those types of things take a little bit more of a toll on me just because of, being having like a disability through military. Your body's not as easily repairable as it used to be.
Okay, so where did iRacing come in?
Um, so I got my sim rig. I got a Formula rig. Again, this was me starting off. So I got a Formula style cockpit, and I downloaded, F123, and I started playing it. And then I like to do research. So I researched like sim racing games. I had Steam because that's where you had to get, your F123, F124.
Yeah.
And then I was just looking at all the different racing games, and I saw that, the most popular one was iRacing. And I know everyone's going to give me hell saying don't download iRacing off of Steam, but I didn't know what else. Um, so again, it was all new, and I started doing iRacing just because I was trying different things out. And I just kind of fell in love with iRacing. I like the fact that there's multiple uh, different types of, you have formula, you have rally, you have, sport, you have NASCAR, there's just all the different, everything's just thrown in there, and it's always expanding. Um, and I like that, being with formula is like, you just have one car and you're hitting the same 20 tracks, so yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it. So I ended up selling my old, well, it wasn't even old. I ended up selling my Formula style cockpit and traded and bought an aluminum style for GT sitting, because it is a little bit easier to get in and out of this type of cockpit compared to the Formula when when you get in your 40, you're trying to lift yourself up, pull your legs out and everything. It's kind of difficult when you're doing it every day, or you gotta get up to let the dogs out. It's a lot up and down, and this is way easier.
Yeah, I can physically understand that on that one. So what year would you have started sort of Formula? What year would you have started sim racing with iRacing?
I would say about iRacing. I've been on there for probably a year and a half.
Oh, okay, so not too long then.
No, I'm fresh, man. I'm new. I guess what you would call a real rookie. Compared to some of the guys you've had on your podcast, it's like I'm like a fraction of their experience. So
Dude, I think I don't know if it really matters. Chris Guy was another one we had on that was basically, brand new to the whole thing, and wasn't had been there. I think it was like a couple of months, I think, or something crazy like that. But I don't know if, to be fair, yes, generally, if you're the longer you're there for, the better you should be. But dude, I've been on iRacing now 4 years, I think, and I still suck. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's really true or whether or not how long you're on there for. I think it's just whether or not you can take to the game in general. I know people that are 50 and are as fast as fuck, and I think that I think it's how you are as your individual person. I think.
I agree with you 100% on that one because like it's you can have some really smart people, but they're absolutely freaking dumb.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty much like how you retain the information and how you know how to utilize it because if you just get on the track, you don't put on your driving aids and actually like try to learn. People just want to go on there and do hot laps. Cool. That's not You're not going to learn anything. I go in there, I jump on YouTube, I go on Garage 61. I'm affiliated with Track Titan, so I utilize all their stuff to give me all my data and show me, hey, I should be slowing down here, turning here. Cause I want to learn. Like,
Mm.
that's my big thing is, I tell my daughter every day, I'm like, you should learn something new every day. Even at, 43, I want to learn something new every day because you can never know not enough, I guess you can say that. I probably screwed that one up. You can never know enough.
Well, yeah, I know people who turn around and say, like, if you learn one thing new every day, you'll die a very smart person, which is true. But there are some things that, to be honest with you guys, that I've probably learned and forgotten because I just didn't retain the information. But where did you go from something in a year and a half? But where did league racing come into all of this?
Um, so league racing came in just from research. Just, I was in the officials and I just read a lot, and that's where it came from. I jumped on Facebook, pulled up a bunch of different, iRacing pages, and just
Mm.
learned that, like, oh, hey, join a league. So I put a post out that, hey, I'm interested in joining a league. Um, and I had, Bradley Lovings from, Old Guy Racing League hit me up, and I was like, old guys, man, I'm there. Come to find out, we're not all old. Um, but no, they were great, warm and welcoming. They had a lot of different series. They have every day but Friday, they have a race going on.
Mm.
Um, so again, coming into iRacing as a rookie, going through the MX-5s and then to the GR86, and that's actually the car I fell in love with was the GR86. Like, that's one of my favorite cars to drive. I started some of doing the Formula V, the FF 1600s. Um, but I kind of fell out of love with the formulas and just really like connected with the sport car GT racing. So I started doing their Sunday OGRL Sunday Coffee Cup that you thankfully broadcast every
I
Sunday, and
do.
it's an absolute blast. So I got in with them and started doing their leagues, and just it was a lot of fun. During the weekdays, the grids maybe like 12 people max. But when we're showing up 40, 50 on a Sunday, in
Mm.
GT3 cars, I'm like, oh man, this is real racing. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You
That,
going
that
back and watching the broadcast, it's enjoyable for me, and even with the wife afterwards, she loves watching it.
Yeah, it has got a little bit lower this season, but I don't know if that's due to the LMP2 GT3 change. The GT3s are still there, but I don't think it's got quite as much traction as just the GT3 series. Now, one of the other series you race in at the moment is, well, I've nicknamed it because nobody else gave me a nickname, was the full throttle face off, where OGRL are having a nice little bit of a ding dong with Tanzo at this moment in
So,
time.
so we want to go there. Okay, let's go there.
Well, we're going to go there with you. Look, dude, this is open borders, right? This
Yeah,
is
hey,
literally, if it's good
I'm
enough
all
for a
about it.
country, it's good enough for a podcast. So,
So,
we go. How did all this come about with Tanzo?
all right, so with Tanzo, it's kind of the same thing. I was looking up research, and again, I fell in love with the GR86, and I was just kind of looking for league races for those. And I happened to find Tanzo's, and I contacted John Johnson. He's the one that runs it, and he invited me in, and surprisingly, I was only like one of two Americans. The other Americans on there, one lives in Germany, and the other one does live in the States. So there was only like a couple of us, and the rest are all, British, like all over the UK, Scotland, Ireland, um, which was amazing because talking to all these guys and trying to understand their accents as and you know what? You laugh about it because a lot of people don't realize, doing like iRacing, like you literally talking to everybody from all over the
Yeah.
world. And people really don't get that because again, I used to play World of Warcraft, so you get in like a guild and you have a group of 40 and you kind of know everybody, but you'll usually play around from the same general like time zone.
Yeah.
And with iRacing, it's great because you can race all day, every day, because it's constant officials going on, or you can race, depending on your work schedule, you can race with people in Australia if it meets your work schedule,
Mm.
or China, or, I raced with a guy from Iran, and, we all have a common interest, which is racing, and it's, meet great people.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's where iRacing is big on that because it will allow you to meet people from so many different areas. I think, you do meet them from all over the world, but you're in with a very broad Scotsman in John Johnston, and I think actually somebody turned around and said he's actually Irish, but wherever he's from, he's still got a broad accent. I still struggle to
he's
understand it, and I'm
I
English.
do too. So the great part is that all those guys have been racing with John for so long that they understand him, and the fact that they all live in that same, I don't want to say island, but yeah, on the island. So they all can at least understand their different accents from different parts of, that area. So a
Mm.
lot of times I'm like, John, I'm so sorry. What did he say, guys? And they would have to basically translate him to me, so I can understand what he's saying. And I just absolutely loved it. I love talking with John. I'm getting better at understanding him a lot. And I actually have my wife listen. She just cracks up because we're not used to having that strong of an accent compared, I mean, we're used to like the southern people here. I know you've talked to a lot of our guys on OGRL, and they're deep south guys, deep south, like especially like Brad and Rick.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely know about that. But you've kicked in with a GR86 league. That's one of the biggest 86 leagues in iRacing. You've decided you're going to put them against your boys at OGRL in the hope of achieving what exactly?
So John came to me about it because John knows I'm in OGRL, and we have one of the biggest GT3 leagues, and actually have one of the biggest leagues in iRacing. We have over 1,000 members. At least
Mm-hmm.
that's what Discord says. And the fact that on Sunday mornings we're fielding 40 plus cars, every Sunday morning, um, we had a very good handle and a good group of people. So John reached out to me. Is like, because I've been racing with them every Sunday. I race in the morning with OGRL for the Sunday Cup. I race in the afternoon with Tanzo for the GR86 series. Um, and so they know about OGRL, and they're like, "Hey man, what do you think about doing a team event? Having a Tanzo versus OGRL, kind of like America versus the Brits." And I'm all about it because I'm all about worlds colliding and collaborating with each other. Like to me, that's the best part, and like that's what I do now. I talk to OGRL. I'm like, hey man, there's Tanzo races going on. I talk to Tanzo. I'm like, hey, there's OGRL races going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure you've seen. I'm working it. I'm trying to get those Tanzo guys over to do our GT3 league,
Yep.
which we might be doing another team event because it sounds like we're getting a little bit of traction, or at least the interest is there about doing a Tanzo OGRL GT3 event.
Yes, but was the aim to try and prove that you could beat them,
I
or
mean, I suck, period, so I'm not beating anybody.
well,
So we're
I
gonna
wasn't going to quite go there with that.
well, I'm
Curtis, to
gonna
be
pass the
blatantly
buck on
honest.
to Bradley Lovings. So when John reached out to me, I went to Brad and I was like, hey man, like what are your thoughts? He's like, oh, we're gonna kick their ass. We're gonna prove that our independence, all of it just started going crazy. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so obviously the memes with the red coats and George Washington and the Revolutionary War, it just all started going back and forth, and it was a lot of fun building up to this event. And everyone seemed like they wanted to be about it. And the unfortunate part is looking through all the stats. I mean, Tanza shows up in force every week, and unfortunately, the guys in OGRL, we had guys with internet issues or traveling for work. It sounds like excuses, and the reality it is. Um, I can't force people to be there every week, but I'm there. I'm there every week, rain or shine, and whether I'm in 10th or last, I push out every week because it's fun, and I like racing with all those guys.
The interesting thing for me is the fact that you've mentioned Bradley Lovins. Now, the interesting thing about that is the guy's not even showed up. It's not. I don't even know if he's done a race. He's been there,
He
he
does
arranged it and then he doesn't turn up for it. It makes me laugh. He's off fishing at the weekends apparently now at the moment, which is fair enough. We've all got lives and leading lives and stuff like that. But I will say at the moment, though, Curtis, you're kind of getting your asses handed to you.
Oh yeah, we are definitely getting stomped. And I mean that's the reality. It's racing, you know what I mean? And there definitely get some heated moments in the races. Obviously you're not pervious, and I know that you had some comments coming through, the YouTube channel during the races, but and hopefully that's been better. Me and John really try to nip that in the butt. Um, and the reality is, like, these guys have never raced with each other, so they don't know each other and their driving styles, their driving lines, and we're used to racing GT3s and now we're in GRE6s. So it's a different style of driving, it's a different style of racing. But it's interesting because, like, I'll be honest with you, including me, we're all fucking crybabies. We are all crybabies. Because you bump doors, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, like, I actually watched the GR86 North America Cup, in real life. I watched that series, and those guys bump doors all day long. Like,
Yep.
they're banging doors. They're spinning each other out. Like, that's real life racing. It's like, you do your best to drive as clean as you can, but you know what? I mean, shit happens. You're in a simulator. You're not running triples. You're not running VRs always. Like, you don't have all your senses only for what your computer screen or your VR headset can tell you.
Yeah, I think for me that what I would like to be able to see is in league racing specifically that they should turn off certain things, and I think a league I broadcast has got it kind of right in a way because they put the incident limit at unlimited, so you can do whatever you want. And I wonder sometimes if that affects people's ability to race because of the fact that they're stuck with an incident limit.
Um, so for me, my opinion on this, obviously, 'cause I mean, I'm in no admin or anything, I don't run any of the leagues, but if I were to have an opinion on this whole matter, is that I agree with the unlimited, but I think there should be a lot more strict adherences to incidents reporting, and stewardship because, yeah, a lot of guys say like, oh, I'm not coming on here to, smash doors every day. I want a clean race for the most part, because then they refer to it as an actual game like you would, like in Ridge Racer or Gran Turismo. You can bump, there's no damage, and then you just move forward. You spin somebody and just keep going with no repercussions. So the incident limits, yeah, I don't like sometimes just because there's some tracks that when you go off track, it's just like every freaking turn, you're trying to push, and then in real life they go off track all the time. You know what I mean? And so I do like the idea of unlimited incidences, but I do think that, I mean, mainly for, again, the off tracks, but like actual like vehicle incidences where they're, hitting, just little bumps here and there is fine, but major like hits or you coming on track, in an unsafe manner and you knock somebody off. We had that at the last GR86 race. Guys went off track, hit the wall, came back on, and took out, our number one driver.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's, from my point of view, obviously, I can look at it from different angles. Not that we spend all day analysing incidents, bro. Otherwise, you'd never see any blinking racing, to be blatantly honest. But I think sometimes that there's a certain thing of looking at what he was able to control at that specific point. If he's banged the wall going up through Dingledale and into Sheen at Brands Hatch and has come spinning back into the middle of the race circuit, he ain't in control if the car's doing pirouettes.
Agree 100%. Yep.
And I think sometimes you've got to look at the scenario that if he comes back on track and you could physically see he's in control and physically see that he's drove into the space on purpose, then yeah, give him grief. But I think sometimes, some of the things I've seen, they're just racing incidents, turning in too early, not realizing. I don't know. I think sometimes that people can take it a little bit far with the way that they argument about incidents. I think you need to have a 24-hour cooling off period before you really cry, and it's mandatory for you to go back and watch the whole thing. I think people
So that's what I
cry
think about
too much.
iRacing, though. That's what I think about iRacing is that they had that 4 hour cooldown period before you can even submit an incident.
Yeah,
So, and you have to submit your videos. You can't just be like, "Oh, he did this." You have to actually show, and
yeah.
with good reason. And like, I'm not one to submit incidences. I think I've only submitted one incident against somebody, um, because he just didn't like how I took a turn, and because I got in front of him, and then he just decided to wreck me, and even was saying it on like over iRacing chat, like, this is what you get. I'm like, all right, dude, that's first and only time I ever reported an incident
Mm.
was stuff like that. But like bumping and everything like that, and I hear all this stuff, when people, break early and then they get rear-ended. Like, here's the thing, like, I'm not in the car with the person. I don't know what's in his head, so I'm always braking a little bit. If I'm like bump drafting somebody and I know the brakes point's coming up, I will brake a little bit earlier
Mm-hmm.
for my own safety,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to use the excuse of like, oh, well, you brake too early. Well, you know what? Like, that's not my fault. That's your fault because you're following too close. Like, you weren't anticipating my moves, whether it was early or late. I'm racing my race. You're racing your race. And if you mess up because you fall too close because I braked early, hey, like, that's your fault,
It's
not
on
mine.
you. Yeah, no, I agree. I think sometimes people just cry for no reason, and I also think as well that people who do overtake it and then pull straight in front of your nose right into the braking zone deserve to get smacked. So I've got to be honest, because that
Yep.
just drives me absolute bonkers. Oh, you hit me. Well, you've overtaken me in the braking zone and then just pulled straight in front of me. Tough shit. Deal with it.
Yep.
I
I've been
think
through
that's the
there.
thing. Yeah, I think that's the thing, bro. And, when I first started iRacing, before I got into this side of commentary and stuff like that, I copped a voice chat ban, partly due to the fact that the guy could give me a load of verbal diarrhea. But then as soon as I gave it back, he was like, I'm going to report you. I'm like, oh, God, yeah, all right. Sorry, son. I forgot it was a snowflake one-way conversation that you're allowed to abuse me, but I can't abuse you. But I think, to be honest, mate, that sometimes you come across a lot of toxic people. I find it a lot if I do NASCAR series, because obviously, oh, you got a Brit driving in a NASCAR.
Oh,
That's my favorite one.
yeah. I haven't really gotten much into oval. I do enjoy it, but I actually got into like I watched a couple races where like they're super into it with different settings and everything like that. I'm like, I don't not that knowledgeable. Where they actually have a crew chief, you
Mm.
making all these different adjustments on you. I'm like, one, I wouldn't even know what to say or do. Like, put a turn here, put a bumper there, whatever. I have no idea. So that's why I stick with my road racing because I'm very familiar with that.
Mm.
But no, I agree with you about the whole like people they want to say stuff, but then when you respond back to them, they get all mad. It's like I just kind of learned to really just kind of keep my mouth shut and just race. Like if I mess up, I'll instantly say, hey, look, I'm sorry. And that's another thing that makes me mad. It's like when you mess up and you're like, hey, dude, I'm sorry, and they still get pissed off. They're like, oh, you're this and this. And like, dude, like, look, I apologize. Like, hey, I said it was my fault. I give
Yeah,
you the spot back. Like, why are you keeping going? Like,
that's the thing. You can't do nothing about it. You can't. You apologize to some people and they still go off their nut. You just get to the point where you're going, fuck off. All right,
yeah.
that's literally it. Leave me
So
alone.
what I started doing though is actually was very knowledgeable for me is like just the other day I was doing the GRE6 race at Lime Rock Legacy, and I thought a guy ran into me, cut across my nose, and spun him. Now I was racing for position. I think it was like fifth, um, and the second place MX5 was in front of me as I'm trying to race for position with the car in front of him. Um, and he cut in front of me, which I thought I did, but come to find out later on, I actually cut the curb too early, hit the curb and pushed out into him. But I mean, I was talking bad about him. Like after he was yelling at me, I started talking about him. I was like, "You need to watch the video." And then, a few of us stayed back on. We rewatched the replay, and then, we talked about it. And I'm like, "Hey, look, like, cool, man. That was my bad, and I apologize." And then, like 3 laps later, like he came by and actually ran me in the same spot. And I pointed out to him, like, "Hey, look, like, cool. I made my mistake. I said I'm sorry. You intentionally did this." He's like, "Well, you
Hmm.
deserved it." I'm like, "Dude, like, I apologize for my mistake, and you're sitting there doing the same thing,
On
and you want me to
purpose.
apologize?" Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I think people who turn around and go, you deserved it. It's like, all right, you've just kind of copped yourself there, son, for admitting that you did it on purpose. But outside of sim racing, recently you've had your, what was it, 15-year wedding anniversary, was it?
man, no, you're really pushing it 5 year, 15 year.
Oh,
Trust me. I'm like, I know I'm old, but damn, not that old.
5-year
No,
wedding
5 years.
anniversary.
5 years. Yep. On
Okay, so,
May the
so
4th,
May the 4th, May the
Star Wars
4th
Day.
be with you.
That's right.
So she's part with you for 5 years?
Well, we've been together for about 6 to 7. Yeah.
Okay. So been together 6 or 7. She's married to you for 5. How is Mrs. Mathews? Is she okay?
She's good. She's in the other room with my daughter's not even home yet, but she's in the other room right now. She just put the dogs out. So she's a travel nurse, well, home health nurse. Um, so she's doing all of her basically after work charting and everything, and watching some murder mystery stuff. Dude, she
Okay.
likes watching murder shit.
So
I,
what?
I think she's planning how to kill me and not get away with it.
Hey, fair enough. You know what I mean? Why not? What do you do outside of the world of sim racing? What gets you excited?
Sleep. No, honestly, like, man, like at this age, yeah, I'm really just like a homebody now. I used to do all my partying and everything when I was in the Navy, and I love watching my TV series. Any really good shows on TV, like I'm focused on those. I love watching, the racing IMSA series,
Mm.
WEC, Formula One. My wife, she's really into Formula One. I got her hooked on that, so it's a nice bonding moment where, and this is my daughter walking in.
Oh, looking
So,
very dapper with her sunglasses on.
um, but no, so we relate to Formula One. We stay up till shit. Just depending on like when they're like late night races, we'll stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning just to watch a 2 hour race, and just sleep on the couch the next day. I mean, so we bond with that, and that's really what gets me excited because I'm able to bond with her. We have that connection. She's a
Mm.
Lando Norris fan. I'm a Red Bull Max Verstappen fan. So, and I'm a closet Carlos Sainz fan because his number's 55, and that's my favorite number.
I do love a good old Carlos Sainz. I got to be honest. I think
I think Red Bull screwed up and didn't get him.
yeah, I think so as well. But I think at the end of the day that I still feel there's, sometimes in Formula One it just does my head in, and I just don't sit there and watch it half the time. Especially when people turn around and go to me, "Have you watched that?" I'm like, nah, to be blatantly honest, no, I haven't because it just boring or it pisses me
There's
off or
some
something.
races that are really boring where
Yeah.
it's just draft parties, like DRS trains. But there's other races like I was watching today, the 75th anniversary of F1. They've been having this 24-hour stream going, and on my way home, I'm able to watch TV in my truck. So I was watching the F1 series stream, and they had the 2024 Sao Paulo race, which is the big rain race where Max Verstappen came back from 17th place to first.
Yep.
And it was a great race, like it was very challenging, and just how dynamic he is in the rain, and the fact that, Esteban, Alcon and Gasly, Alpine cars took second and third because they gambled. And like to me, that was a great race because it wasn't just Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, just in the front running the whole time. There was a lot of great strategy, great racing. There was with the rain. It was a fun race.
Yeah, it was, and I think that's the thing. But it's hard when you talk to people because generally they turn around, and stereotypically look at where you're from to what you should be watching, right? They turn around and like I work with Kenton, who we do NASCAR together now. Obviously, for me, I enjoy my NASCAR. I will sit down and watch it when it after the reruns. So generally on a Monday or Tuesday, I'll put the reruns of the weekend and sit there and watch it. Kenton's a big F1 fan. Now, the comparison, the chalk and cheese is obviously the European loving the American sport and the Canadian loving the European sport. And people don't quite understand how I can be not against F1, but it's not up there with my top class of motorsport.
Well, I mean, F1 realistically isn't just, UK. I mean, it's a worldwide race. Like NASCAR, you don't see NASCAR anywhere else but the US.
Mm.
So I think it's the whole uh I don't want to say forbidden fruit type feeling where it's more entertaining because you don't have it. Does that make sense? Like you don't have it
Yeah.
here, you can't go see it every day. So it's like something new, you didn't grow up with it. It's a new experience. Um, so for me, I can see that aspect. Because again, like around here, it's just you don't really have much road racing. Like, we did with Tanza, we did the GRD6 series and we did a UK series and we did like 12 different races on. It was like what 7 or 8 races with all the
Mm.
UK tracks. And like I didn't realize you guys even had that many. For a small an island that you are, but they're small fun tracks. And for us, there's really not that many road courses. You obviously have Laguna, and then but you have Sebring, but to like the normal like track that's stapled, which is Laguna Seca, because it's still running.
Mm.
That's a real road course. That's a permanent road course. Um, I mean, unless you do some of the rollables, but even then, those aren't like real ones. You know what I mean?
Mm, yeah, yeah, I get you.
Willow Springs, which is absolutely my absolute favorite in the GRD6. But now they have COTA, COTA Circuit of the Americas. It's a fun race. It's tricky as hell. That I don't know how the hell or why they would even come up with that uphill freaking 270 turn on turn one, going straight up the hill, and then have it do 270-degree turn, just go almost right back down
Yeah,
or whatever,
I
180
don't. I'm not a lover of Coda. I gotta be honest. It's a copycat track of about 5 other circuits that they took bits from and stuck it on one track. They couldn't even be bothered to design a new one. So Coda just it begins to do my head in. But you've gone into retired Navy, so do you work now, or is it something that you don't do?
Oh, I work. I still work. I do what I did in the Navy that I do now. So basically, I was with the Blue Angels for uh, 3.5 years, doing all their life support stuff. So pretty much everything that they wear when they go flying is the stuff I was taking care of while I was in the
Mm.
Navy. So I did that for 22 years. So if you wanted to see what that was like, I'll have to send you one of my backseat ride videos and all the gear that they wore, or you can watch the Amazon Prime uh, Blue Angel documentary. That's a fun one.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look on that one as well. So before we get, because believe it or not, we're going nearly an hour already, which is a bloody
Yeah, and I
flies
gotta get
by.
ready to head out. My other daughter, she's got a concert. I gotta get ready to go to.
Yeah, so let's do the famous thing: one car, one track. What would you put in iRacing?
Um, Las Vegas
Okay,
City Street Course. So I think
with
that's
what
just what.
car?
Um, oh, the new is it the McCarthy? That one that has the new turbo fans on the bottom of it that you can literally drive upside down. Please tell me you've seen this thing. It did a 56 on the Top Gear track. It is the fastest car in Top Gear. It's super small, and it's got fans on the back of it that create 20,000 pounds of downforce.
Okay, so this one. Let's just confirm that this is it. Hold on, I got to find my screen, dude. This one?
No. Oh yeah. Sorry, the one on the right isn't the right one. It's that one on the top left. The
This one?
McCurdy. Yep. Dude, if you haven't seen that thing, it's insane. It's insane. Absolutely
No, I
insane.
haven't. I've never seen this, dude.
It's absolutely insane.
I have never seen this. Holy, what is this? Oh my!
So in the other videos, they literally have it where, oh yeah, this is against the Porsche. So they have
That's
a video of it.
nuts.
They have a video of it where basically they have it on a ramp and they turn the fans on and they flip it upside down and it drives straight upside down.
No way. Oh my God, that is nuts. Well, we'll carry on with that one and I'll have a look after, but that is absolutely bonkers. Dudes, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me, bud. We'll let you get on and get out and I will catch up with you soon, but
Yeah. Hey, and
much
next time
love.
we'll have to get the corgis in, man. Sorry, like with the camera the way it is and then having to go, we'll have to get all the corgis in because that's kind of what I'm known for is having 8 corgis.
We'll do that next time. Once we
All right,
hopefully
man.
can get this video sorted out. Dude, you have fun, brother. Thank you so much for joining me and
All
I'll
right, thanks,
catch up
brother.
with you soon.
See ya.